my name is Ryan and this is Ryan and Her Books. So today I'm coming back to you with a new video, and this is going to be 5 underrated books that I think you should read. Now these aren't necessarily underrated or underhyped. They're more just like books I didn't really see that much on BookTube, or maybe they were, but before I started watching BookTube. So I'm just going to talk about 5 books. And yeah, so let's just get started. What I have here is The Summer of Chasing Mermaids by Sarah Oakler. Now this book is absolutely amazing. I don't know why people don't talk about it that much on BookTube, because I just completely loved it and I've read it twice. So The Summer of Chasing Mermaids is about a girl named Elise, and she moves to Oregon to stay with some family after a tragedy happens and she loses her voice. This is inspired by The Little Mermaid. I love mermaids, and The Little Mermaid was like my favorite movie as a kid. I watched it so many times I could probably like lip sync the entire movie. So I had to pick this up when I heard that, and I'm so glad I did, because it is so incredibly amazing. The writing is beautiful. I have no complaints about the pacing or the progress of the story. I loved how it ended. I loved everything. The characters are likable. I mean, you just have to read this book. Like, read it and then tell me about it, because read it. Okay, so the next book I have for you here is In the Shadow of Blackbirds by Kat Winters. I read this book about 2 years ago and I absolutely loved it, but since it's been a while, I don't remember exactly everything that happens. But it's set in 1918, San Diego, and we follow Mary. And I'm going to read you this little description right here because it's really short. It says, in a city filled with the dead and dying, while a nightmarish war wages halfway across the world, the grieving look for answers in photographs and seances. It's 1918 San Diego, and a girl who doesn't believe in spirits steps off the train and into a new life. So this really is really good, because it does have seances and spirits and like nightmarish dreams that she discovers are like hinting at things, and it's just so good. They have pictures in this book, like scattered out black and white photos, and I thought that was a really nice touch to it, because it really like captures the feel of the book. I just absolutely loved it. Here's another one, which is really cool. And yes, I think you should really read this book because it's unique, and I just absolutely... Okay, so this next one I have to show you is also by Kat Winters. It is The Steep and Thorny Way. Now, this is the second book I've read from her, and I absolutely adored this one too, so I just love her as an author. And in this one, it's set in 1920 Oregon, and we follow Hannah Lee Denny, as she tries to figure out why her father died. So this is actually loosely based on Hamlet. Not based on Hamlet, but it's like a Hamlet retelling, but people say that it's kind of not right to call it a retelling exactly, so I'm just going to say it's loosely based on it. Hi. So right here it says, question, was Hank Denny's death an accident or was it murder most foul? I'm sorry, my kittens are really bad, so they always want to be in the video. Yes, so we follow Hannah Lee as she tries to figure out why her father died, if it really was just an accident or if people killed her. Now, Hannah Lee is mixed. Her mother is white and her father is black, and since her father died, she suspects that it's because he was African American and the community didn't really like him. They dealt with her because her mother was white and they liked her mother, but her dad was always kind of like an outcast. Now, the suspect that they're trying to blame the murder on's name is Joe Adder, and he's a white man, but he's also gay. And since this is 1920s and it's in Oregon, that's not accepted either. So the Ku Klux Klan is in this book, and it follows them as she suspects it was them that did this too. And it was just really, really good. I feel like the setting and the characters, you really felt for them, and it felt really real, how it would be to live back then as a person of color or someone with a sexuality that they didn't accept. So I really recommend reading this. 5 out of 5 stars. Again, I absolutely... Okay, so the next book I have here for you is actually a true story. So if you're into true stories, then you'll probably like to hear about this book, but I know a lot of people don't read nonfiction, or they don't like it as much as like fantasy and fiction, contemporary, all that. So this is Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand, and I'm sure you've heard of this book before. There's a movie out to it, and it's a true story, and I've got to tell you guys, this book is amazing. Like, this book made me cry, because the things that happen to this man are just terrible, and it's incredible that he survived through it, and he kept his spirits up, and he made it out alive. Like, it's just so beautiful. I absolutely love this book. He starts off as a track and field champion, and then he goes to the war, and you guys, you just gotta read this book, watch the movie. The movie leaves out a lot of details, so I really recommend reading the book. But if you don't really like reading nonfiction, you can't get into it, then at least watch the movie. It's just absolutely incredible. It's incredible. I will read this book again. I just loved it so much, and it'll make you cry. It'll give you all the feels when you know that this really happened to somebody, and they survived through this, and they stayed strong. And the last book I have here for you is actually by Stephen King, which isn't really talked about that much on BookTube, because he's an adult writer, and most of his books are really big and deep, and like you see stuff like It talked about sometimes, but not really a lot else. So I have here Rose Matter by Stephen King. Now, before this, I hadn't read a book by Stephen King. This is the first Stephen King book I read, and it's so good. I was not expecting it at all. Like, this is one of those like surprises where I went into it thinking, you know, it's gonna be okay, I'll probably like it. I loved it. This book like left a big impression on me because of how much it surprised me. If I had gone into it maybe expecting that I was gonna love it, that I might be different, but I didn't think I was going to, and oh my gosh. So this book I got from my mom friend, actually. She had a really old copy of it. It was torn up, and she said that it took her a long time to read it, but she read it, and she absolutely loved it. I read it in like 4 days, because even though it's big, because you know his writing is really, like, the writing on these pages are like tiny, and it is 620 pages, and that's not including the epilogue. Yeah, it's long, but it's so worth the read. It has a magical twist to it that you don't even see coming, because it doesn't seem like it's going to be there, and all of a sudden you're just like, what? It's so good. So if you like, it's a thriller, horror, like, magical, kind of crazy, you don't expect, I don't know. I will say that there's some triggers that might make some people uncomfortable. I would suggest that you only read it if you're mature and you know you can handle some adult content, because there's some abuse in this that is described that's pretty graphic, or it might make you uncomfortable. But if you are mature, or you like Stephen King, you're used to his writing, or adult in general, I would really recommend reading this. It's really worth it, and I don't see a lot of people talking about this book. So, alright guys, so that's it for this video. Those are the five books that I really think you should read. So yeah, these are my 5 books. The Summer of Chasing Mermaids by Sarah Oakler, In the Shadow of Blackbirds, and The Steep and Thorny Way by Kat Winters, Unbroken by Lauren Hillenberg, and Rose Matter by Stephen King. Give them a try. They're so good. Tell me what you think if you have read any of these in the comments. Subscribe if you want to see future videos, and like this video if you liked it. I appreciate you watching so much, and I'll see you next time in my new video. Bye!